Today we step into the elegant, firelit world of François Gérard's painting. Madame Charles Maurice de Talleyrand, created around 1804. It is advisable to turn your captions on. At first glance, it seems a serene vision of refinement, a woman draped in pale silk, poised beside a hearth, surrounded by quiet luxury. But behind the gleam of satin and the softness of her gaze lies a story of scandal, strategy, and social power in Napoleonic France. The lady in the painting is Katherine Noël Worlay. Though history remembers her under her husband's grander name, Madame de Talleyrand-Périgord. She was born in 1761 near Pondicherry in colonial India, a beginning that already set her apart in a society obsessed with lineage. The exotic paisley shawl placed casually beside her is more than a fashion accessory. It's a whisper of her origins, a nod to the colonial trade networks that brought such textiles to France's elite drawing rooms. By the time Gérard painted her, Katherine had become a fixture of Parisian high society. Admired for her beauty, charm, and wit, but also whispered about for her unconventional life. Her marriage to Charles, one of the most cunning and powerful diplomats of his age, was born out of both passion and politics, and quickly became a source of both admiration and scandal. Katherine and Charles met in the chaotic years following the French Revolution, when old titles and loyalties were being rewritten overnight. She was already separated from her first husband, and he was the brilliant but morally flexible statesman who had survived the revolution and would soon serve Napoleon himself. Their affair, however, drew too much attention. It was considered so indecorous that Napoleon himself intervened, insisting they marry in 1802 to preserve appearances within his newly polished imperial court. But affection faded quickly. Neither party entered the marriage out of love. Talleyrand, always the strategist, understood that marriage to Katherine would help legitimize him socially. And Katherine understood that she gained the title and status that came with being the wife of one of France's most powerful men. By the time this portrait was painted, they were living separate lives, still linked by name, but worlds apart in affection. François Gérard was the portraitist of choice for the Napoleonic elite. His paintings were not just visual, but exercises in image-making, crafted to shape the public view of identity. In this portrait, Gérard gives Katherine exactly what her world demanded, the illusion of serene respectability. She stands poised and self-contained, framed by a stately interior. Her gown, in the new Empire style, flows in graceful folds of white, pure, almost ethereal. Yet the fabric clings softly to her form, a delicate balance between modesty and sensuality. A light shawl, rendered in exquisite detail, signals wealth and refinement, but also exoticism, the hint of a world beyond Europe. In her right hand, she holds a letter, an elegant prop that suggests intellect and perhaps communication. A reminder that, though her power may have been social rather than political, she too operated within the networks of influence that defined her husband's world. Everything about her pose is measured. One hand rests gently on the furniture beside her. Her gaze is turned away from us, thoughtful, distant. She is both present and untouchable, a woman aware of how she is seen. Gérard's genius lies in subtlety. Nothing in this composition shouts, but everything whispers. The flicker of firelight, the heavy curtains, the refined furnishings, all of it constructs an image of controlled warmth. It's domestic comfort elevated to diplomacy. To viewers of the time, this portrait communicated not romance, but status. It proclaimed that Madame de Talleyrand belonged in the highest circles of post-revolutionary France, that despite gossip and separation, she was still a woman of consequence. And yet, the painting also betrays a quiet independence. Though created to reinforce her husband's image, it instead centres her, serene, self-possessed, not defined by the man whose name she bears. It's as if Gérard captured not a wife, but a woman reclaiming her dignity in a world ruled by appearances. When Gérard painted this portrait, France was remaking itself under Napoleon Bonaparte. The revolution had decimated the old aristocracy, but the empire revived it in new form. A glittering court filled with generals' wives, diplomats, and fashionable hostesses who became arbiters of taste and influence. Portraits were part of that performance. They were public statements, tools of social survival. Katherine, as Madame de Talleyrand, inhabited that delicate space between acceptance and suspicion. Her background, born abroad, twice married, known for her affairs, made her an outsider to the rigid moral image Napoleon wanted to project. But through Gérard's brush, she could re-enter the stage respectably, clothed in virtue and elegance. That's what makes this work so fascinating. It's not simply a record of a beautiful woman, nor even a piece of imperial propaganda. It's a portrait of contradiction between reality and representation, between scandal and grace. We see a woman who was talked about, judged and manoeuvred, yet here she appears composed, luminous, untouchable. In Gérard's careful hands, the chaos of her life is transformed into calm, the gossip into poise, the politics into art. Madame Charles Maurice is more than an image of fashion or beauty. It's a study in the art of appearances. How, in a society built on hierarchy and spectacle, even scandal could be painted into serenity. Behind the silks and shawl lies the story of a woman who navigated the treacherous waters of post-revolutionary France with quiet strategy, her portrait serving as both shield and statement. And that is Gérard's subtle brilliance. He didn't just paint his sitter. He painted the fragile performance of power itself. Art has been a lifelong journey for me. A constant source of curiosity, beauty, and discovery. Through Art Muse, I hope to share that journey with you, to explore timeless paintings, uncover their hidden stories, and broaden our artistic palettes together. If you enjoyed this piece, please subscribe and join me next time as we dive deeper into the world of art.